First story, by David Reynolds. It was supposed to be a weekend of tranquility in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. My friends and I, seeking refuge from the hustle of city life, had embarked on a camping trip to the remote forests of West Virginia. Little did we know that our quest for serenity would turn into a nightmarish ordeal. Our chosen site was nestled deep within the Monongahela National Forest, miles away from the nearest town. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows among the towering trees as we set up our campsite. The crackling campfire offered a sense of comfort, the flames dancing in the cool night breeze. As darkness descended, an unsettling silence enveloped the forest. The usual symphony of nocturnal sounds, the rustle of leaves, the distant calls of animals, had vanished. It was as if the very essence of the woods held its breath, anticipating something unknown. The flickering fire became our only source of solace as we sat around, exchanging stories and laughter. The surrounding darkness pressed against the edges of our campsite, creating a disconcerting feeling of isolation. That's when we heard it, the distant howl of a lone wolf. A sound that, under normal circumstances, would be a natural part of the wilderness. But this was different. It was haunting, carrying a mournful resonance that seemed to linger in the air. Attempting to shake off the unease, we decided to embark on a night hike under the moonlit canopy. The trail, winding through ancient trees, felt like a gateway into a realm untouched by time. But as we delved deeper, an oppressive atmosphere settled over us. My senses heightened as I noticed subtle movements in the shadows. Every rustle of leaves or snapping twig became a potential harbinger of danger. An inexplicable tension hung in the air, intensifying with each step we took into the heart of the forest. As we approached a clearing, a flicker of movement caught my eye. Huddled at the edge of the trees were figures obscured by darkness. My heart raced as I strained to discern their features. The night seemed to swallow them whole, leaving only a vague silhouette. A sense of foreboding washed over me. The figures remained motionless, watching us with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. Unsettled, we decided to retreat, retracing our steps along the moonlit trail. The howl of the wolf echoed once more, closer this time, as if the forest itself was warning us of an impending threat. Back at the campsite, we found our tents disturbed. Sleeping bags were overturned, and the embers of our once steady campfire now flickered erratically. Panic set in as we realized that someone, or something, had invaded our sanctuary. The oppressive darkness seemed to close in around us. Every rustle, every distant sound became a potential threat. We huddled together, our flashlights sweeping the perimeter in a futile attempt to unveil the unseen intruders. Suddenly, a guttural growl echoed from the shadows. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I glimpsed a pair of glowing eyes peering from the depths of the forest. Panic set in as the unseen creatures closed in, their presence marked only by the swaying branches and the haunting glow of eyes that seemed to materialize and disappear at will. In a frenzied rush, we abandoned our camp, fleeing through the woods in blind terror. The howls of the unseen pursuers echoed through the night, an otherworldly symphony that fueled our desperate escape. Exhausted and disoriented, we stumbled upon a ranger station on the outskirts of the forest. Breathless and trembling, we recounted our harrowing ordeal to the bewildered park rangers. They searched the area but found no trace of the mysterious intruders. To this day, the memory of that night lingers in my nightmares. The Appalachian Mountains, once a symbol of serene wilderness, became a realm of uncertainty and fear, an experience etched into the very fabric of my being. Second story, by Jessica Turner. The vastness of Montana's Glacier National Park beckoned to us, a group of adventure seekers yearning for an escape into the untamed beauty of nature. Our plan was simple: hike the scenic trails during the day and camp under the starlit sky at night. Little did we know that the wilderness held secrets darker than the shadows cast by the towering peaks. Our chosen campsite was nestled near the shores of Lake McDonald, surrounded by dense forests and craggy mountain slopes. The crisp mountain air, scented with the fragrance of pine, promised a night of tranquility beneath the celestial canvas. As the sun dipped below the rugged peaks, we gathered around a crackling fire, its warmth contrasting with the cool mountain breeze. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as we shared stories beneath the expansive Montana sky. However, as the embers waned, a subtle shift in the atmosphere unfolded. The night sky, usually adorned with a blanket of stars, felt unusually oppressive. The darkness between the celestial bodies seemed to stretch, creating an otherworldly void that stirred a primal unease within us. Ignoring the disquieting feeling, we retired to our tents, nestled in the shadows of the ancient trees. The moonlight filtered through the branches, casting dappled patterns on the tent fabric. The rhythmic sounds of the wilderness, the distant hooting of owls, the rustle of leaves, became a lullaby, coaxing us into a fitful sleep. In the depth of the night, I awoke to an eerie silence. The usual nocturnal symphony had ceased, leaving only the distant lapping of the lake against the shore. Curiosity overcoming my drowsiness, I unzipped the tent and stepped into the cool night air. The moon hung low on the horizon, casting elongated shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. A pervasive stillness surrounded me, broken only by the faint whisper of the wind through the trees. It was then that I noticed an anomaly, an absence of natural sounds that defied the very essence of the wilderness. Unease settled in as I scanned the surrounding landscape. The lake, once a mirror reflecting the starry expanse, now seemed like an abyss swallowing the moon's reflection. The forest, usually alive with nocturnal activity, felt desolate, as if nature itself held its breath in anticipation. Compelled by an inexplicable force, I ventured toward the lake's edge. The air grew thick with an unseen tension, and the ground beneath my feet felt strangely hollow, as if the very earth held secrets waiting to be unveiled. As I reached the shore, the stillness shattered. A chorus of unearthly whispers echoed from the depths of the lake. The voices, indistinct and ethereal, seemed to carry a message from an ancient realm. Fear clawed at my senses, urging me to retreat, but a mesmerizing force held me in place. From the calm waters emerged ghostly figures, ethereal entities with features obscured by the veil of the night. They glided toward the shore, their movements graceful and haunting. As they approached, the whispers coalesced into words, a language beyond my comprehension, echoing with a resonance that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. Unable to tear my gaze away, I stood transfixed as the figures reached the water's edge. The whispers intensified, resonating with a spectral energy that sent shivers down my spine. It was a communion with forces unknown, a convergence of the living and the ethereal. Suddenly, the apparitions paused, their translucent forms shimmering in the moonlight. The whispers ceased, and an oppressive silence settled over the lake. A profound sense of dread gripped my soul as the figures turned toward me, their featureless faces fixed upon my trembling form. In that moment, instinct overcame reason, and I sprinted back to the campsite, leaving the surreal encounter behind. The night air seemed to thicken with an unseen presence as I stumbled into the safety of my tent. As dawn broke over Glacier National Park, the forest resumed its familiar symphony, and the lake returned to its serene reflection. The ethereal figures had vanished, leaving me to question the reality of the night's haunting encounter. To this day, the memory lingers, a testament to the inexplicable mysteries hidden within the heart of the wilderness, waiting to be unveiled by those who dare to venture into the unknown. Third story, by Alex Carter. The dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, specifically the Olympic National Park in Washington, were the backdrop for what would become a camping trip etched in the deepest recesses of my memory. The towering trees and ancient moss-laden branches created an otherworldly ambience, but little did I anticipate the darkness that would unfold as night descended upon our campsite. Our group, comprised of seasoned outdoor enthusiasts, set up camp near the Hoh River. The rhythmic babble of the water and the distant calls of wildlife promised an idyllic night under the vast expanse of the forest canopy. The haunting beauty of the landscape, however, would soon become a stage for an unsettling series of events. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we gathered around a roaring fire, the crackling flames casting an ephemeral glow on the towering trees that loomed above. Stories of past adventures filled the air, and the camaraderie was palpable. But as the fire dwindled, a disquieting chill set in, seemingly emanating from the ancient trees that surrounded us. Opting for a night hike to shake off the eerie ambience, our group embarked on a trail that wound through the heart of the forest. The moonlight filtered through the dense foliage, casting an ethereal glow on the moss-laden ground. Unbeknownst to us, the tranquil setting would soon give way to a descent into the unknown. As we traversed the winding path, an oppressive silence settled over the forest. The nocturnal sounds that had accompanied us earlier were replaced by an eerie stillness, broken only by the soft crunch of leaves beneath our boots. The air thickened with an unsettling tension as we pressed on, an invisible force guiding us deeper into the heart of the ancient woods. It was then that we stumbled upon a clearing, a place seemingly untouched by time. In the center stood a cluster of ancient trees, their gnarled branches forming a spectral canopy above. The moonlight bathed the clearing in an otherworldly glow, revealing a series of strange symbols etched into the bark of the trees. As we inspected the mysterious markings, a distant rustle echoed through the clearing. The air seemed charged with an unseen energy, and a sense of foreboding settled over us. The symbols, cryptic and enigmatic, hinted at a presence that defied the boundaries of the natural world. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, an elderly man with weathered features, clad in tattered clothing that seemed as ancient as the trees themselves. His eyes, gleaming with an unearthly wisdom, fixated on our group. Without uttering a word, he gestured toward the symbols, a silent invitation to partake in the mysteries that lay hidden within the forest. Curiosity overcame trepidation as we followed the enigmatic figure deeper into the woods. The moonlit trail led us to a secluded grove, where ancient stones formed a makeshift altar. The air buzzed with an arcane energy as the figure began to chant in a language unknown to us, invoking forces that seemed to stir within the very fabric of the forest. As the incantation reached its climax, the grove became alive with an ethereal glow. Shadows danced along the moss-covered ground, and the very air hummed with a spectral resonance. The boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred, leaving us in a state of awe and trepidation. The elderly figure, his form seemingly merging with the ancient trees, turned toward us with a gaze that pierced the depths of our souls. In that moment, a profound understanding dawned, an acknowledgement of the ancient forces that dwelled within the heart of the Olympic National Park. As quickly as the encounter began, the figure vanished into the shadows, leaving our group in stunned silence. The grove returned to its natural state, and the symbols etched into the trees seemed to fade into the bark. Retracing our steps, we returned to our campsite beneath the towering trees. The forest, once a backdrop of haunting beauty, now held secrets that transcended the realm of human understanding. As we settled around the dying embers of our campfire, the ancient trees whispered tales of an age-long past, a night in the Olympic National Park that defied the boundaries of the known and plunged us into the mysteries of the ancient forest. Fourth story, by Rachel Morgan. Nestled within the remote wilderness of the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, our camping expedition was meant to be a respite from the demands of urban life. Little did we anticipate that the pristine beauty of the forest would become a canvas for an encounter that defied logic and reason. Our chosen campsite, near the shore of a tranquil lake surrounded by dense woods, offered a panoramic view of nature's grandeur. The crisp mountain air and the gentle lapping of the water promised a night of serenity beneath the sprawling canopy. Yet, as night descended, an inexplicable sense of unease settled over our group. Around the crackling campfire, we exchanged laughter and tales, the dancing flames casting flickering shadows on the towering pine trees. As the embers waned, we retired to our tents, nestled in the heart of the ancient forest. The night, however, held secrets that would soon unravel with chilling precision. I awoke to an unnatural stillness that permeated the air. The usual symphony of nocturnal sounds, the distant calls of wildlife, the rustle of leaves, had ceased. The moon, obscured by the dense foliage, cast an eerie glow on the tent fabric, creating an atmosphere that seemed to defy the very essence of the wilderness. A subtle murmur reached my ears, an indistinct whisper that seemed to emanate from the shadows beyond the tent. Initially dismissing it as the product of imagination, I strained to discern the source of the sound. The whisper persisted, evolving into a chorus of hushed voices that seemed to converge on our campsite. Compelled by an inexplicable curiosity, I unzipped the tent and stepped into the cool night air. The forest, usually alive with nocturnal activity, lay in an uncanny stillness. The lake's surface mirrored the silhouettes of the towering trees, creating an illusion of a mirrored realm that defied the laws of nature. As I ventured toward the lake's shore, the whispers intensified, becoming a symphony of ethereal voices that seemed to transcend the boundaries of reality. The shadows cast by the trees danced with a life of their own, and the air hummed with an unseen energy that prickled the skin. It was then that I noticed a peculiar phenomenon. The lake's water seemed to ripple in response to the whispers. The surface undulated with an unnatural rhythm, creating concentric patterns that pulsed with an otherworldly luminosity. Fear gripped my senses as the whispers coalesced into distinct words, a language both archaic and alien. Drawn toward the mesmerizing display, I stood at the water's edge, a witness to a convergence of forces beyond comprehension. Suddenly, the lake's surface erupted, and from its depths emerged spectral figures, ethereal beings whose translucent forms seemed to defy the boundaries of the mortal realm. The figures, with faces obscured by a ghostly glow, glided toward me with an eerie grace. The whispers now formed a cohesive dialogue, a narrative that spoke of ancient pacts and untold secrets woven into the very fabric of the forest. The figures gestured toward the surrounding woods, inviting me to partake in the mysteries that lay hidden within the heart of the Adirondacks. As I hesitated, Torn between the allure of the unknown and the instinct to retreat, the figures converged into a circle around me. The air thickened with an unseen force, and the whispers reached a crescendo, resonating with a spectral energy that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. In that surreal moment, the forest became a stage for a communion with forces that defied human understanding. The ancient trees, the still lake, and the spectral figures formed a tableau of enigma, an encounter etched into the very soul of the Adirondack wilderness. Abruptly, the figures receded into the depths of the lake, their ethereal glow fading into the mirrored surface. The whispers diminished, and the forest, once steeped in an otherworldly ambience, returned to its natural state. Stunned and bewildered, I retraced my steps to the campsite, where the others still slumbered, oblivious to the spectral drama that had unfolded in the heart of the wilderness. The remainder of the night passed in an uneasy calm. With the first light of dawn, the forest reawakened, and the Adirondack Mountains stood as silent sentinels to the inexplicable encounter that had transpired. As we packed up our campsite, the lake's surface remained tranquil, offering no trace of the ethereal figures that had emerged from its depths. To this day, the memory lingers, a testament to the mysteries that lie hidden within the heart of nature, waiting to be unveiled by those who dare to venture into the untouched realms of the wilderness. Fifth Story, by Jonathan Parker. The desolate expanses of the Mojave Desert in California set the stage for an ill-fated camping trip that defied the very essence of the natural world. Drawn by the allure of the stark landscapes, my companions and I embarked on an adventure that would unravel the thin veil between reality and the surreal. Our chosen campsite, nestled within the shadow of Joshua Tree National Park, promised a night beneath the expansive desert sky. The air, tinged with the scent of ancient earth, carried whispers of untold stories etched into the arid landscape. Little did we know that the desert held secrets that would soon unfold with an unsettling precision. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the barren terrain, we gathered around a modest campfire. The Joshua trees, their twisted branches silhouetted against the fading light, seemed to dance with an otherworldly energy. The crackling flames offered solace against the encroaching darkness, but the desert held a chilling stillness that spoke of an ancient presence. Our group, a mix of seasoned campers and desert enthusiasts, reveled in the stark beauty of the surroundings. The night, however, held an ominous weight, an unspoken understanding that the desert harbored mysteries beyond the scope of human comprehension. As the campfire dwindled, we retreated to our tents, the thin fabric providing a fragile barrier against the vast emptiness of the Mojave. The haunting silence that enveloped the desert became palpable as we settled into an uneasy slumber beneath the watchful gaze of the stars. In the depth of the night, I was awakened by a distant sound, a low, rhythmic drumming that echoed through the desert expanse. The steady beat seemed to reverberate from the very core of the earth, creating a disconcerting resonance that resonated with an unseen force. Compelled by an inexplicable curiosity, I emerged from my tent into the cool desert night. The drumming intensified, guiding me toward a distant dune where shadows danced in the moonlight. As I approached, the rhythmic beat transformed into a primal chant, carried by the wind across the barren landscape. The source of the ritualistic sounds revealed itself. A group of figures, clad in tattered robes, circled around a makeshift bonfire. Their faces obscured, the desert nomads seemed to be engaged in an ancient ceremony that defied the boundaries of time. Fear mingled with fascination as I observed the ritual unfold. The figures moved with a fluid grace, their movements synchronized with the rhythmic pulse of the desert's heartbeat. Symbols were etched into the sand, forming a labyrinth that spiraled toward the center of the circle. As the chant reached a crescendo, the desert night seemed to warp and distort. The Joshua trees, once stoic sentinels, swayed with an unnatural energy, casting elongated shadows that danced with the spectral movements of the nomads. The very fabric of reality seemed to unravel, giving way to a surreal tapestry woven by the desert's ancient spirits. In a trance-like state, I stepped into the labyrinth, guided by an unseen force toward the center of the circle. The figures, their faces still hidden, gestured toward the desert expanse, inviting me to partake in the communion between the earthly and the ethereal. As I stood at the nexus of the ritual, the desert's pulse intensified, resonating with a primal energy that surged through my veins. The boundaries between self and surroundings blurred, and the very essence of the Mojave seemed to course through my being. Abruptly, the chanting ceased, and the nomads turned toward me with gazes that seemed to penetrate the depths of my soul. The symbols etched into the sand began to glow with an otherworldly luminosity, casting a surreal light across the desert expanse. In that ephemeral moment, the nomads lifted their faces, revealing eyes that glowed with an ancient wisdom. The desert's heartbeat merged with mine, and a profound connection unfolded, a communion with forces that transcended the limitations of the mortal realm. As the first light of dawn painted the desert sky, the nomads dispersed into the shadows, leaving me at the center of the labyrinth. The symbols etched into the sand gradually faded, and the desert resumed its stoic silence. Stunned and disoriented, I stumbled back to the campsite where my companions still slumbered, unaware of the surreal encounter that had transpired. The Mojave, once a symbol of desolation, became a realm where the veil between the seen and the unseen had momentarily lifted, offering a glimpse into the ancient mysteries that lie hidden within the heart of the desert. Sixth Story, by Natalie Bennett. The dense pine forests of the Black Hills in South Dakota provided the backdrop for a camping trip that would plunge us into an unsettling encounter with the unknown. Drawn by the allure of rugged landscapes, my friends and I embarked on an adventure that would unravel the boundary between the tangible and the surreal. Our campsite, nestled near the shores of Sylvan Lake, promised a night beneath the towering trees and a sky adorned with the brilliance of 1,000 stars. The crisp mountain air carried whispers of tales etched into the very fabric of the Black Hills. Little did we anticipate that the ancient woods held secrets that would soon reveal themselves with chilling clarity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows among the towering pines, we gathered around a crackling campfire. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as the flames danced in the cool night breeze. The dense forest, however, seemed to hold its breath, and an unspoken unease settled over our group. As the embers waned, we retired to our tents, nestled in the heart of the ancient woods. The night, usually alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures, fell into an unnatural silence. The towering trees, their branches intertwined like ancient sentinels, seemed to guard the secrets hidden within the Black Hills. I awoke to a subtle sound, a distant, rhythmic drumming that echoed through the forest. The steady beat seemed to emanate from the very heart of the Black Hills, guiding me toward an unseen source. Compelled by an inexplicable force, I emerged from my tent into the cool mountain air. As I ventured deeper into the woods, the drumming intensified, leading me to a clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center stood a group of figures, cloaked in shadows, their faces obscured by the darkness. The rhythmic drumming seemed to emanate from their movements, creating an ethereal ambience that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. In a trance-like state, I approached the figures, their silhouettes dancing with an otherworldly energy. Symbols were etched into the ground, forming a pattern that seemed to pulse with an unseen force. The air hummed with an ancient energy, and the forest seemed to awaken with spectral movements. The figures, their faces veiled by shadows, gestured toward the symbols, inviting me to partake in the ritual. Fear mingled with fascination as I stepped into the pattern, guided by an invisible current that surged through the ancient woods. The drumming reached a crescendo, resonating with the very heartbeat of the Black Hills. As the ritual unfolded, the forest became a realm of surreal visions. Shadows danced among the trees, taking on a life of their own. The ancient pines seemed to sway with spectral movements, and the very ground beneath my feet pulsed with an ethereal energy. Abruptly, the drumming ceased, and the figures turned toward me with eyes that glowed with an ancient wisdom. The symbols etched into the ground began to glow, casting a surreal light across the clearing. In that moment, the Black Hills became a nexus of reality and the supernatural, a convergence of forces that defied human understanding. As the figures dispersed into the shadows, the forest returned to its stoic silence. Stunned and bewildered, I retraced my steps to the campsite, where my friends still slept, oblivious to the surreal encounter that had transpired in the heart of the Black Hills. The remainder of the night passed in an uneasy calm. With the first light of dawn, the dense forest seemed to absorb the remnants of the ritual, leaving only the whispers of ancient tales that lingered in the cool mountain air. The Black Hills, once a symbol of untamed beauty, became a realm where the unseen and the tangible coexisted, a testament to the mysteries that lie hidden within the heart of the ancient woods. Seventh Story, by Eric Rodriguez. The haunting beauty of the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina was the chosen setting for our camping expedition, a journey into the heart of nature's grandeur. Little did we anticipate that the ancient mountains would become a stage for a nightmarish encounter that defied the very essence of the natural world. Our group, a mix of avid hikers and outdoor enthusiasts, set up camp near the summit of Roan Mountain. The panoramic views promised a night beneath the stars, surrounded by the ancient beauty of the Appalachians. The crisp mountain air and the distant calls of wildlife created an idyllic atmosphere, but the tranquility masked the unsettling events that would soon unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the rugged terrain, we gathered around a flickering campfire. The camaraderie was palpable as we shared stories beneath the vast expanse of the night sky. The ancient mountains, their peaks shrouded in mist, seemed to harbor tales untold. As the embers waned, we retreated to our tents, nestled in the shadows of the towering trees. The night, however, held an oppressive stillness that belied the natural order of the mountains. The rhythmic chirping of crickets and the rustle of leaves gave way to an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the ancient valleys. In the depth of the night, I awoke to a sound that chilled my bones, a low, guttural growl that seemed to reverberate through the very rocks beneath us. The air thickened with an unseen tension as I strained to discern the source of the ominous sound. The mountains, once silent sentinels, seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. Compelled by a primal instinct, I ventured out of my tent into the cool mountain air. The growls intensified, guiding me toward a rocky outcrop overlooking the valley below. As I reached the summit, a chilling sight unfolded before me. A group of figures, clad in tattered clothing, huddled in the shadows of the ancient rocks. Their eyes, gleaming with an otherworldly luminescence, fixated on a swirling vortex of mist that materialized in the valley. The growls emanated from the depths of the ethereal portal, creating an unsettling symphony that echoed through the ancient mountains. Fear gripped my senses as I observed the figures, an assembly of spectral entities engaged in an arcane ritual. Symbols, etched into the rocks, pulsed with an unseen force, creating a nexus between the earthly and the supernatural. The very air seemed to vibrate with an ancient energy that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. Unable to tear my gaze away, I witnessed the figures gesturing toward the mist, their movements synchronized with the rhythmic growls that echoed from the depths of the portal. The boundaries between the tangible and the surreal blurred, leaving me in a state of awe and terror. Suddenly, the vortex widened, revealing glimpses of a realm beyond comprehension. Shadows danced within the mist, and indistinct shapes moved with an otherworldly grace. It was as if the ancient mountains had become a gateway to dimensions unknown, and the figures at the summit were the conduits to the supernatural forces that lurked beyond. As the ritual reached its climax, the figures turned toward me, their eyes glowing with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. A profound connection unfolded, a communion with forces that defied human understanding. The very rocks beneath my feet seemed to resonate with the arcane energy, and the ancient mountains pulsated with a spectral rhythm. In a surge of terror, I fled the summit, stumbling through the rugged terrain in blind desperation. The growls and the ethereal symphony echoed behind me, haunting my every step. The ancient rocks, once silent witnesses, seemed to bear witness to an encounter that transcended the boundaries of reality. Back at the campsite, the oppressive stillness lingered, and the very air seemed tainted with an unseen malevolence. As dawn broke over Roan Mountain, the ancient rocks retained the secrets of the night, a testament to the unnatural encounter that had transpired in the heart of the Appalachians. 8th Story, by Isabella Sanchez. The sprawling wilderness of Denali National Park in Alaska provided the backdrop for our camping excursion, an endeavor to immerse ourselves in the untamed beauty of nature's last frontier. Little did we anticipate that the pristine landscapes would become a canvas for a surreal encounter that blurred the line between reality and the supernatural. Our chosen campsite, nestled near the base of the towering Denali, promised a night beneath the expansive Alaskan sky. The crisp mountain air and the distant calls of wildlife created an idyllic setting, but the tranquility masked the enigmatic events that would soon unfold. As the sun dipped below the jagged peaks, casting an ethereal glow over the vast tundra, we gathered around a crackling campfire. The camaraderie was palpable as we shared stories beneath the Arctic twilight. The looming presence of Denali, its peaks obscured by the shifting clouds, seemed to harbor secrets untold. As the embers waned, we retired to our tents, nestled in the shadows of the ancient mountains. The night, however, held an unnerving stillness that belied the natural order of the wilderness. The rhythmic howls of distant wolves and the rustle of grass gave way to an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the vast expanse. In the depth of the night, I awoke to a sound that sent shivers down my spine, a melodic hum that seemed to emanate from the very air itself. The ethereal melody, carried by the Arctic breeze, guided me toward a rocky plateau overlooking the expansive tundra. Compelled by an unseen force, I ventured into the cool Alaskan night. As I reached the summit, a surreal sight unfolded. A group of figures, their forms indistinct in the shifting shadows, encircled an ancient totem pole. The hum emanated from the totem, and the figures swayed with an otherworldly grace, their movements synchronized with the rhythmic vibrations that resonated through the Alaskan wilderness. Fear mingled with fascination as I observed the ritual. The figures engaged in an arcane dance that seemed to transcend the boundaries of human understanding. Symbols, etched into the totem pole, pulsed with an unseen force, creating a nexus between the earthly and the supernatural. The very air seemed to vibrate with an ancient energy that echoed through the vast tundra. Unable to tear my gaze away, I witnessed the figures gesturing toward the totem, their movements guided by an unseen force. The hum intensified, creating a harmonic convergence that echoed through the ancient mountains. Shadows danced within the shifting light, and the Arctic night became a stage for a communion with forces beyond the scope of human comprehension. Suddenly, the figures turned toward me, their eyes gleaming with an intensity that pierced the frigid air. A profound connection unfolded, a communion with the ancient spirits that dwelled within the heart of Denali. The very ground beneath my feet seemed to resonate with the ethereal energy, and the towering peaks bore witness to a moment that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. In a surge of awe and terror, I stumbled back down the plateau, the melodic hum fading as I descended into the expansive tundra. The figures and the totem vanished into the shifting shadows, leaving me in a state of bewilderment. The ancient wilderness, once a symbol of untamed beauty, had become a realm where the veil between the tangible and the supernatural had momentarily lifted. Back at the campsite, the stillness lingered, and the very air seemed charged with an unseen resonance. As dawn painted the Alaskan sky with hues of pink and gold, the ancient totem pole remained on the plateau, bearing witness to the surreal encounter that had transpired in the heart of Denali National Park. To this day, the memory lingers, a testament to the mysteries that lie hidden within the untouched realms of the Alaskan wilderness, waiting to be unveiled by those who dare to venture into nature's last frontier. Ninth Story, by Dylan Turner. The vast deserts of the American Southwest, specifically the Sonoran Desert in Arizona, were the chosen backdrop for our camping expedition, an attempt to embrace the stark beauty of the arid landscapes. Little did we anticipate that the endless dunes would become a stage for a nightmarish encounter that defied the very essence of the natural world. Our group, a mix of desert enthusiasts and seasoned campers, set up camp near the towering saguaros, their twisted arms silhouetted against the fading light. The panoramic views promised a night beneath the star-studded desert sky, but the tranquility masked the enigmatic events that would soon unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the barren terrain, we gathered around a flickering campfire. The camaraderie was palpable as we shared stories beneath the celestial expanse. The ancient saguaros, their spines reaching toward the heavens, seemed to harbor tales untold. As the embers waned, we retired to our tents, nestled in the shadows of the towering cacti. The night, however, held an oppressive stillness that belied the natural order of the desert. The rhythmic chirping of nocturnal insects and the distant howls of coyotes gave way to an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the vast expanse. In the depth of the night, I awoke to a sound that sent a chill down my spine, the mournful wail of the desert wind, carrying with it a haunting melody. Compelled by an unseen force, I emerged from my tent into the cool desert night. The ethereal hum guided me toward a distant dune where shadows danced in the moonlight. As I approached, a surreal sight unfolded. A group of figures, their forms obscured by the shifting sands, gathered around a makeshift bonfire. The mournful wail emanated from their movements, creating an otherworldly ambience that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. Fear mingled with fascination as I observed the ritual. The figures, clad in tattered desert garb, swayed with an otherworldly grace. Symbols, etched into the sand, pulsed with an unseen force, creating a nexus between the earthly and the supernatural. The very air seemed to vibrate with an ancient energy that echoed through the arid landscape. Unable to tear my gaze away, I witnessed the figures gesturing toward the bonfire, their movements guided by an unseen force. The desert wind, now a spectral symphony, carried with it whispers of ancient tales woven into the very fabric of the Sonoran desert. Shadows danced within the shifting light, and the night became a stage for a communion with forces beyond the scope of human understanding. Suddenly, the figures turned toward me, their eyes gleaming with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. A profound connection unfolded, a communion with the desert spirits that dwelled within the heart of the Sonoran. The very sand beneath my feet seemed to resonate with the ethereal energy, and the towering saguaros bore witness to a moment that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. In a surge of awe and terror, I stumbled back to the campsite, the mournful wail fading as I descended into the vast dunes. The figures and the bonfire vanished into the shifting sands, leaving me in a state of bewildered disbelief. The ancient desert, once a symbol of desolation, had become a realm where the veil between the tangible and the supernatural had momentarily lifted. Back at the campsite, the stillness lingered, and the very air seemed charged with an unseen resonance. As dawn painted the Sonoran sky with hues of orange and purple, the shifting sands retained the secrets of the night, a testament to the surreal encounter that had transpired in the heart of the American Southwest. 10th Story, by Olivia Carter. The dense fog-shrouded moors of Dartmoor in England provided the atmospheric setting for our camping venture, an endeavor to immerse ourselves in the haunting beauty of the ancient landscape. Little did we anticipate that the mist-laden tours would become a canvas for an encounter that blurred the line between the tangible and the supernatural. Our group, a mix of history enthusiasts and nature lovers, set up camp near the ruins of an old stone circle. The panoramic views promised a night beneath the swirling mist and the ethereal glow of the full moon, but the tranquility masked the eerie events that would soon unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an otherworldly glow over the moss-covered stones, we gathered around a flickering campfire. The camaraderie was palpable as we shared stories beneath the canopy of ancient oaks. The stone circle, its purpose lost to the annals of time, seemed to harbor whispers of forgotten tales. As the embers waned, we retired to our tents, nestled in the shadows of the looming tors. The night, however, held an unnatural stillness that belied the ancient magic of the moors. The distant calls of nocturnal wildlife and the rustle of heather gave way to an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the mist-laden landscape. In the depth of the night, I awoke to a sound that sent shivers down my spine, a haunting melody, carried by the moorland breeze. Compelled by an unseen force, I emerged from my tent into the cool English night. The ethereal hum guided me toward a clearing where shadows danced among the standing stones. As I approached, a surreal sight unfolded. A group of figures, clad in tattered robes, encircled an ancient cauldron. The haunting melody emanated from their movements, creating an otherworldly ambience that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. Fear mingled with fascination as I observed the ritual. The figures, their faces obscured by the mist, swayed with an ethereal grace. Symbols, etched into the stones, pulsed with an unseen force, creating a nexus between the earthly and the supernatural. The very air seemed to vibrate with an ancient energy that echoed through the moorland fog. Unable to tear my gaze away, I witnessed the figures gesturing toward the cauldron, their movements guided by an unseen force. The mist, now a spectral symphony, carried with it whispers of ancient tales woven into the very fabric of Dartmoor. Shadows danced within the shifting light, and the night became a stage for a communion with forces beyond the scope of human understanding. Suddenly, the figures turned toward me, their eyes gleaming with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. A profound connection unfolded, a communion with the spirits that dwelled within the heart of Dartmoor. The very stones beneath my feet seemed to resonate with the ethereal energy, and the looming tors bore witness to a moment that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. In a surge of awe and terror, I stumbled back to the campsite, the haunting melody fading as I descended into the mist-laden moors. The figures and the cauldron vanished into the swirling fog, leaving me in a state of bewildered disbelief. The ancient landscape, once a symbol of mystery, had become a realm where the veil between the tangible and the supernatural had momentarily lifted. Back at the campsite, the stillness lingered, and the very air seemed charged with an unseen resonance. As dawn painted the Dartmoor sky with hues of gray and lavender, the mist-laden tors retained the secrets of the night, a testament to the surreal encounter that had transpired in the heart of the English moors. And so, the tales of these haunting encounters in diverse corners of the world serve as a reminder that the boundary between the natural and the supernatural is often thin, and the mysteries of the wilderness remain hidden until daring souls venture forth to unveil the secrets that lie within. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole video. Also, I recommend you this video you see on screen, one of the scariest on my channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. This helps me bring you more thrilling content every day. If this video sent shivers down your spine, let me know in the comments.